Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking at something absolutely profound. We're going to explore a magnificent text that tackles, honestly, one of the greatest tensions in the entire human experience. And that is the relationship between our relentless hard work and a higher divine wisdom. Trust me, understanding this, it has the power to completely reframe how we view our daily struggles and our ultimate purpose.
So be honest with me. How many of your plans actually turned out exactly as you expected? Think about your 5-year plans, your daily to-do lists, your, meticulous schedules. How many of them unfolded flawlessly without a single detour or surprise? If you're anything like me, your 5-year plan usually goes off the rails by, Tuesday of week 1? Okay, let's dive into this because this ancient wisdom speaks directly to our very modern, very human anxiety about controlling life. We're so obsessed with steering the ship, but this source text actually challenges us to look at who is really controlling the wind.
Humans make plans, but the final decision belongs to God. Just let that sink in for a second. There's an incredible weight to those words, isn't there? Right away, the text introduces this immediate, undeniable tension between our endless human striving, our planning, our fixing, our organizing, and a divine will that ultimately has the final say. It doesn't say our plans are bad. It just reminds us of their limits. Section 1. The illusion of control. Let's look at the first stage of our seeker's journey. If we really want to understand ultimate truth, we first have to understand the boundaries of our everyday human effort. The source text makes this beautiful, grounding assertion. It tells us that no matter how many plans a person makes, the final outcome rests in the hands of the one by whose will the universe operates. And, honestly, while that might sound a little intimidating at first, it's actually incredibly liberating. Think about the massive modern burden we all carry, this exhausting, heavy belief that we have to maintain absolute control over every single aspect of our lives and outcomes. Realizing that the universe operates on a higher will, that acts like a giant pressure release valve. You're responsible for your effort, for sure, but you are not responsible for the ultimate outcome. Section 2, 2 kinds of knowledge. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we transition the narrative from our physical actions into the intellectual and spiritual realms. So the first kind of knowledge is Tattva Jnana, or the knowledge of truth. Think of this as the ultimate intellectual map of reality. The text defines it as understanding the universe, its principles, and the fundamental nature of reality itself. But pay attention to how we get there, through wisdom, inquiry, and contemplation. It requires active work. For absolutely anyone seeking the truth, gathering this knowledge, asking the hard questions, studying, meditating on these concepts, these are the essential, non-negotiable first steps. Basically, you have to study the map before you can navigate the terrain. But as the saying goes, the map is not the territory. And that's exactly where we see this breathtaking comparison in the text. On one side, we have Tattva Jnana, that intellectual understanding and active inquiry. It's striving, it's seeking. But on the flip side, we have Brahma Knowledge, the direct realization of the supreme reality. This is a deeply personal spiritual experience where the seeker suddenly recognizes the absolute unity of the self and the absolute. You can almost feel the shift in energy here, right? We're moving from the busy, active striving of the mind trying to figure everything out to the encompassing experiential peace of Brahma Knowledge. It's the place where you don't just understand the truth, you are unified with it. Moving on to Section 3, the 3 steps of truth. Let's explore how we actually bridge that gap. So how do we cross that massive gap between knowing the truth intellectually and experiencing it directly? The source tells us that knowledge of truth is the path, and Brahma knowledge is the ultimate realization of that path. So the crucial point is that intellectual knowledge isn't meant to be the final destination. It is simply the road you walk on. You use the knowledge of truth to navigate, to point yourself in the right direction. But Brahma knowledge is what happens when you finally arrive, drop your bags, and truly look around. Let's move to and see how this builds into a highly practical 3-step formula provided by our source. First up, learn the truth. This is that intellectual phase we talked about, the studying and inquiry. Second, live the truth. This is the active practice, taking what you've learned and actually applying it to your everyday life, your choices, your interactions. And finally, realize the truth. That's the final state, the ultimate shift from doing into being, where your human effort transforms into a profound spiritual experience. Section 4, completing the journey. Let's bring this all together. As we reach the culmination of this explainer, we find this incredible quote: "Human effort begins the journey, divine wisdom completes it."
And this brilliantly illustrates the harmony we've been talking about since the very beginning. Remember those everyday anxieties about our plans going wrong? Well, this quote brings it all full circle. Our human effort, our planning, our studying, our striving to live the truth is absolutely necessary. We have to take those first steps. We literally have to begin the journey. But we must also have the humility to realize that we cannot force the final realization. Ultimate grace, that divine wisdom, is what actually steps in to carry us across the finish line into peaceful unity. Which leaves us with this final, echoing instruction directly from the source text. Will you seek not only to know the truth, but to become one with it? It's the difference between reading a book about a beautiful, vast ocean and finally diving into the water. I'll leave you to reflect on where you are on your own spiritual journey.